Conversations. I know I'm always struck by how different is the discussion of issues involving Israel and the Palestinians here in the United States than it is in Europe,
Right.
and how little the Palestinian side of the debate gets represented here. I mean, so much so that former President Jimmy Carter can write a book. A person can disagree with this or that argument in Jimmy Carter's book. I'm inclined to give former President Jimmy Carter the benefit of the doubt when it comes to, what his motives are or whether or not he's a nefarious anti-Jew person. I'm inclined to give him the benefit of the doubt on that. But the amount of intensity of kind of vitriol that comes out in the refutation or the rebuttal, it can be kind of chilling. So I have to, as a college professor, I have to tell you that there's been more than one occasion in my classrooms when I've really had to stop and think very carefully about what I was about to say, as it might touch on, I teach a course about punishment, so preemption, so the collective punishment. Right? It's a philosophical, theoretical course. We consider these questions in the sort of broadest context, and the question of collective punishment. And so then you look around the world for examples and for difficult dilemmas and situations, and the next thing you know, you find yourself talking about a bulldozer bulldozing somebody's house or whatever it might be, and then the next thing you know, you're right up at the edge of some abyss that you're about to leap into, and you think, oh, my life is about to change.
Right, exactly.
You know what I mean? My public definition is about to be altered. I'm about to enter into something. Maybe I just better, literally, that kind of thinking has crossed my mind on more than one occasion. And while I don't want to put too fine a point on it, there's something mildly unfree and tyrannical about that.
Right.
Mildly.
My observation on this has been, too, that of course, the sort of authority and standing of the speaker makes a great deal of difference here. And so, the substance of what Jimmy Carter said, which was that Israel either needs to come to terms with Palestinians and see the creation of a viable, independent Palestinian state, or else become an apartheid state, got a lot of American Jews very upset about the use of that term with regard to Israel. But essentially the same thing was said by former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert and was repeated recently by Ehud Barak, who's currently the defense minister and was Prime Minister himself in the past. And of course, those guys, as Jews and Israelis, and in fact Israeli political leaders, have a certain greater standing to make those criticisms. But at the same time, you get the feeling that the American Jewish community, through the very success of its pro-Israel advocacy and getting the United States so deeply involved in assistance to Israel over the years, has created a situation where it's not really viable to sort of keep the conversation inside the community. That, it's become a subject of very general concern because what happens between Israel and the Palestinians and Israel and its neighboring countries is actually quite relevant for American foreign policy writ large. So it has to be something that non-Jews are able to comment on in a sensible way. Even though I think it tends to offend a lot of my fellow Jews' sensibilities when they hear non-Jews throwing around rough language in this regard. If you really want it to be an issue that's like just an issue for insiders inside the community to talk about, then you have to adopt actually a very different attitude toward American politics and American policy, because as long as they're, the biggest recipients of American aid money and so forth, then this is going to have to be something that lots of people talk about, and you can try to limit conversation only to Jewish voices, but it's not really practicable over the long term, and it's just not fair to people.
Okay, I think I agree with everything that you just said. It's not fair, it's not efficacious, it's not democratic, and the stakes are not only the interest of Jews or Jewish Americans. The stakes are the interest of the United States. I agree with all of that.